My full name is Consolacion Cabrera Togawa, and better known as Connie C. Togawa. I was born August 13, 1939. That was Japanese time. I was born here in Garapan, Saipan. My father's name is Francisco Saniclas Cabrera. My mother's name is Regina Blas Cabrera. We are 7. The oldest one, Trinidad. Me, the second one. Third, Andrea. Fourth, Arling Torres. And the boys, Herman Blas Cabrera, Felix Blas Cabrera, and Antonio Blas Cabrera. My father's parents has a big land here in Salampio. So there's some land that were renting by the Japanese, and my father is in charge to collect the rental for his father, the family. My mother was a seamstress. I remember when I was young that my father was a carpenter, and he has this is after the war. He has this market. They kill cows and they sold it to the community, and that's how my father was doing. I remember we were in the cave during the war, and somehow U.S. soldiers came to our place, the cave, and took us to the beach. We're across the Hopwood School now, but they forgot about me, and I was crying, and that soldiers heard the crying, so he came back and took me. So we went all the way to Chalampio Beach. That's when I remember when we were on the sand of the beach, and I remember my father was digging the sand because my auntie Carmen Cabrera Hosting, and my sister Andrea Blas Cabrera was shot. My auntie got shot here. She almost lost his hand, and my auntie carried my sister Andrea on the back, and her hand is over here, and she got a shot here. Very lucky that she did not lose his hand. Then my father took my auntie and put in the sand and covered with the sand, because to prevent the painful of my auntie, because the sand is cold, and then he put her in the sand. And then somehow I remember there was a military ship, and they were taking all the those that were shot. No, they were taken to the ship for treatment, for medical treatment. So my auntie got cast here. I do not remember my sister whether what she has, but they were treated in the ship. And while they were there, the nurse came to my father to go and see if you can take your sister and your daughter back here, because the ship is leaving. The ship is leaving, and they might take them away. And I remember that our relative, one of the Cabrera woman that went on the ship and she never came back. But when I was working for Land and Claims, I heard that she was in Japan, and that's the family of Cabrera. And I don't really remember, because Cabrera, we have a lot of Cabrera, and she's a distant relative for us. So anyway, that's it. When I remember that. That's during the war. I heard that all the Chamorros and some of the Japanese were put in the Suzuki camp, but then they say that there's a Japanese, they have this camp, the Chamorro, they were put in Suzuki camp. And after that, sometimes like 1946, when we were moved to Chalankanoa, which those housing that built by Japanese government, and we were stay in that house, and that house is still there now, at present. And that house, it was divided into half. So we were in North Division, and the Chagbalaf is on the South Division. Somehow, when the mother died in 2005, I went there just to see the place, the house. So I went in and look at it. I said, wow. When I was young, I thought the house is big, but when I came in, oh my gosh, it's only like from there to there, I guess. And we were there, and we have this outside kitchen, because there's no kitchen in that house. Right? So that's what I remember when we went there. And that's the post-war, right? Okay, I remember we have this Chalankanoa Elementary School. I went there. I have the sketch here that I have. Okay, that Chalankanoa school, there's a flat, U.S. flat. And, in the morning and in the evening, they will raise the flat, they will get on the flat, and we really, at those times, we really respect the U.S. flag. So there's a path all the way down, a road all the way down to where is the post office. Okay, but they divided. On the west side is the Gupalo people. They're staying they have the boundary. And we, Chamorro, we have the boundary here, the old Chamorro in the eastern side. And that's when I remember how was subdivided into Carolinian and Chamorro. So somehow, at that time, my father and the guy, Benedicto Taisakan, Malua's father, they were together selling meat cow. So that's their business, okay? And on the other side, where the post office now, there's a church, Chalankanoa Church. And we were staying down we moved to where the Chalankanoa Elementary School, across the elementary school. We have to walk all the way to the church every morning. And therefore, there's a municipal government there. And I worked there in 1955. The reason I worked there in 1955 because I have an excuse. Actually, when I was graduate in 1955, 9th grade, all the parents were strict, especially for the girls to go out. So I was so tired staying at home. So I got an excuse to my mother that, Mom, give me 25 cents so I can buy the toilet tissue. So she gave me instead. I did not go to the store. I went direct to the municipal government and asked for the job. At those times, there is no application, no interview. I just came there. The girl inside the office calling the boss. This lady is asking for a job. Oh, come in and work. So I started working without anything. And that was, my salary was $55 a month. So anyway, after that was 1955 when I started working for municipal government. I was only not 15 years. I graduated 9th grade, that's all. Because the parents are very strict. So somehow, when Mr. Elias Pisablan, the mayor was Ignacio V. Benavente, that was my boss before. So Elias Sablan lost the vote to become mayor. So the mayor Benavente terminated me. So somehow Mr. Elias Pisablan called me to work at Land and Claims. That's when I have all the experience and all the land matters knowledge. And I started working there. That was 1957 when I started working there. So that's when I knew everything about the homestead program, the exchange, the pre-war property, and we have the pre-war property, we have these claims. They started the claims 1944 and 1948. They started to claim their property. Chamorro and Carolinan, they come and there were a deadline for the claims of their private property. And the deadline was 1952. So anyway, there's a private property in the area when the military, the U.S. Armed Forces, possess the land. And they call it, there's part of the island that called retention area, retention 1, retention 2. There's numbers, and in this site, in the northern section, is retention 18. And this site, they have this, they call it NT2, and it is very restricted area. You cannot go in. Going up the hill, there's a traffic light, right? Little bit farther in, they put a gate and a guard to guard that area, so no one can go in, because I don't know what kind of government is that, but it's entity that is called Navy Technical Training Unit. Naval Technical Training Unit. So they left, I guess, sometimes in early 50s. So there is a retention area. I remember retention area 2 and 1. The retention 1 is where you see the MIA office now. There's road and Actually, it's under American Memorial now, the area now. And that's the military, the U.S. Armed Forces, when the naval administration took over, and they built this supply office, public works, and so forth. And then the administration office is where is now the CHC office. CHC hospital. And across that, there's this commissary. And then upper that, there is a galley. And now, it's unoccupied now. Used to be a land office and MPLC office. That was the Topi Club during those times. So somehow we have all that retention area, but in 1976, when they released the retention area, that's how, because the cobbler was an Ashley Field, but they renamed it to Cobblerville, where they opened, after the release of retention area, they opened the homestead there, which is known as Cobblerville, and they're known as turnkey housing. And in Katman, that's also a retention. That's when they release, and then they open the homestead there. So anyhow, then we started the after the war, the government, the U.S. government, announced out to the public that anyone can go out and occupy public land to plant for their food. But this is a revocable permit. And when the government needs to have back the land, they have to move out. Otherwise, they will be evict them. But some people, Chamorro, they don't want to obey that, and they want to stay. They want to stay to that revocable permit. And the government, the U.S. Navy government, tried their best how to rectify that. So somehow, they make this homestead program. And that was started in 1952, but the permit was issued 1958. And that during those, they only took application because they don't want to move out. They want to stay. So somehow the government put that as a homestead for them to become private. And they were giving like 5 years, to plan, and to fulfill the requirements of homestead. So they were giving, and it becomes private. But some, they will exchange their private property from all those retention area to where the revocable permit. When they opened the office here, and that's from the Washington, D.C. And they were moved to Saipan, legal counsel, and the commissioner. And there's also legal counsel detailed at another Western Pacific island, Yap, Marshall, Palau, and all the Western Pacific. There's a legal counsel that was stationed there, but the head office is here in Saipan when I worked for Micronesian War Claims Commission. That was, I started working 1974, but it was open maybe 1973, but I started working there 1974. And they closed it 1976. That's the end of the what do you call that? the end of the war, the Micronesian War Claims Commission. When the U.S. Armed Forces came here and implement the Line and Claims Office, those Chamorro that own private property, which we call it private property, they will claim it, and they will take the claims, but when it shows that they own the land during Japanese time, there's NKK government. Okay, NKK government purchased Chamorro's property. And what they were doing, they're like planting sugarcane. And there's the NKK also that leased Chamorro property. For NKK that purchased Chamorro property, it becomes the government property. There were a vesting order dated September 27, 1951, that if you sold your property to NKK, it becomes to government land. When you lease your property to NKK, Chamorro will claim that and take that, and they will determine that's their property. So beside that, we have this exchange program, which is when the government took the property, they exchange it, and also like under the revocable permit, when they don't want to move out and they want to stay, and if they have private property, they will exchange to that. Okay, so we have those, and also homestead. We have homestead. We have homestead in Tinian and here in Saipan, and the homestead was I already mentioned that it's implemented the permit to homestead was started in 1958. Okay, now in Tinian, there were people in Tinian just went out and occupied the public land. Some of them occupied like 12 hectares. Some of them occupied like 10, 7 hectares, some of them. And the naval administration, they want to see if how can they rectify that, because the transitory law said that 5 hectares is maximum for homestead, agriculture homestead. But Tinian, they first occupied it, and they occupied like 12 hectares, whatever. But there were land advisory board. The land advisory board will determine if they can give all those Tinian people what they occupy. There's some, like maybe 10 of them that occupy 12, 5 hectares, 7 hectares, and they were giving that. They were grant that to them. Now, here in Saipan, the maximum is 5 hectares. So we have to fulfill the requirements, then it becomes your private property. My family, Cabrera, let me tell you, the Cabrera, my great-grandfather has this 1/5 of the island. Antonio Garrido Cabrera. He has 1/5 of the island. And that was Spanish time. And when the German government came in, they confiscate some of their property. So my great-grandfather passed the property to my grandfather, and my grandfather will pass it to my father, and there are 9 of them, and they were giving each of them more or less 25 hectares. We have a big land, and our land is situated now in Chalampio, Oak Cabrera in Chalampio. So we were not eligible to apply for homestead. Anybody that has private property are not eligible for homestead.